Live from JMT Studios, it's time for Two Jersey Kids, the best video game podcast on the planet.
What's going on, all you Jersey kids out there? It is episode 62 of the Two Jersey Kids podcast. I am the host, Adam Buckingham. Alongside me is my best friend, the best stick handler in the video game business, Gary Seisel. How you doing today, buddy?
Excellent, sir. I'm really excited to be here again once more for more Two Jersey Kids action. I'm feeling alert, energized. I've been waking up earlier lately just to get my sleep schedule in order, and I feel better for it, man. I'm ready to rock.
I'm glad you're well rested because this is going to probably be a long episode. There's a lot of news to get into. But before we roll into it, I just want to let everybody out there that are listening right now, if you're a continuing listener, you know this whole spiel. We love you. If you're a new listener, we release episodes every Friday talking about the gaming industry as a whole, all the news. We are outsiders, just fans of the gaming industry, and we kind of bring a different perspective than the classic, insiders that you hear all the time, like IGN, GameSpot, because we're just normal people, and we just like to give our own opinions, and we're not going to hold back from our biased opinions or being skeptical when it comes to certain things, because I feel like a lot of times in the video game industry, people just like to hop on a game and just ride it to the very end. There's nothing against that if you truly enjoy it, but it always seems like they have the same exact opinions across the board, but maybe that's just what I see. But yeah, if you're a new listener, I hope you stick with us all the way to the end. Probably be an hour-long episode, hopefully more, because there's lots of, not hopefully, but there's probably going to be more, but release every Friday. Please follow us on Twitter, at 2JerseyKids. If you are a new listener, hopefully you earn that subscribe button, and if you're a continued listener, remember, you're an honorary Jersey Kid, and we love you so much. Please go hit a rating on iTunes. Give us 5 stars. It'd be glorious. It'll help us out a lot. And please actually just share it with your friends, family, people that will actually enjoy the podcast, because word of mouth is what actually spreads podcasts and things that people are enjoying, because people take other people's opinions instead of, people online. If you just say up face to face or on Twitter, the Twitter sphere, it'll just be helpful. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. Before we roll into all the news that's happening, I just want to talk to my best bud, G. What have you been up to?
Well, it's been an interesting week. It has been exciting. I've been streaming a lot lately. I've been trying to. Part of the reason I've been waking up early has been because of Twitch and because of streaming. I figured I get more viewers in the afternoon because a lot of my viewers they live in other countries. They live over in Lithuania, Ukraine. It's kind of tough to stream at night.
International star.
Yeah, man, it's great, but yeah, it also kind of sucks because I had to kind of change my schedule around, which kind of worked out better for me anyway. So yeah, I've been getting up early. I've been streaming Civilization 5, kind of a chill stream. But it's been a great week though. My viewer's been up. I've had 11 viewers today at one point. That was insane. Had some new faces in there today talking to me, and it's been fun talking with people and just kind of playing and kind of screwing around. It's just cool. I don't know.
Yeah, it's always fun interacting with people online where they're not actually assholes and they actually want to talk with you and chat with you and, help you out throughout the game and don't get frustrated when you're not the best at a game because, when you talk about Civ 5, there's so many things going on that you're not, especially if you're hopping back in for the first time in a while, it can be a little difficult. And Nikita's the Ukraine person you're talking about, correct? Am I wrong?
Correct, sir.
Yeah. I thought so. If people listening first time, Nikita, classic Jersey kid out there who's been a fan of us since way back when, and we always appreciate the listen, and now he's following Gary on Twitch streaming, which is amazing. We really appreciate the support, and we appreciate everybody out there that listens to us, and we like to interact with you, maybe bring you on the podcast eventually when our schedules finally clear up, whenever the hell that will be, because who knows nowadays. But yeah, we appreciate you all. I don't know if Nikita knew this, but actually my girlfriend Marta was born in Ukraine, so that's kind of a cool connection there. But yeah, she moved over here when she was 1, so yeah, it's kind of cool. But other than that, what have you been playing besides Civ 5? Have you been playing anything else? Maybe Destiny 2 on the PC? I figured that's probably what you've been doing because you are a Destiny 2 lover.
I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2 lately, usually at night with my squad. And tonight, actually, Friday, obviously, I guess I can say tonight now because we actually released the episode on the same day we record. Tonight is Trials. Trials of Osiris is now, or Trials of the Nine, I should say, is now part of Destiny 2. So it's kind of exciting. It's something we've been waiting for. It's competitive. It's fun. kind of frustrating at the same time. So yeah, I've been grinding Destiny 2. It's been a grind.
Is it just me, or it just feels like that Destiny 2 has, I don't want to say it hasn't had the fan base or like the clout behind it, or just people have passed it on, but it just seems like because now that it's fallen, it seems like there's so many high-profile games coming out. It seems like Destiny 2 has been quote-unquote passed by, so to speak. I mean, I don't see it as much. I mean, maybe the numbers are actually there's a lot of traffic still for it, but I just don't see that many articles about it nowadays. And I wonder if it's just because it'll probably pick up later down the road when there's less news that is happening. But you have like Call of Duty, you have Mario Odyssey, you have Wolfenstein 2, you have Assassin's Creed Origins, which people have been loving, and you have everything and in between, and more games coming out in the future. I say like Destiny 2 seems like it's getting put on the back burner for a lot of people, and I just haven't heard too much about it. I want to get the Destiny 2 lovers' perspective.
Well, you got to remember when the first Destiny released, it released to much criticism. So that's why you saw a lot of articles. Whether people were praising it, in the beginning, but then once they saw what the game actually was, which was relatively empty, it got tons of press because of that, and it was all negative. I mean, there was just a lot of people upset with that game, and I think that in part had a lot to do with the amount of attention the game got. So I think that the fact that it's not getting as much attention right now is maybe a good thing for the game. It doesn't face as much scrutiny. And plus, everyone knows what Destiny is now, I think. I think they know what the game's about. It's a shared shooter. It's nothing, unbelievably groundbreaking. So it's a sequel to the game. It's not going to get as much press, I guess.
Does it still offer you that sort of hook, that back, like in the back of your mind, you keep thinking about Destiny, that you want to get back, you have that itch to play it? Or is it more of like a casual, like, oh yeah, maybe I should play it because that's what my friends are doing?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, I don't know if it has... Part of the problem right now with the game, I think, in my opinion, is the PvP still needs a little bit of work in terms of like the weapon balancing and stuff like that. But I still very much enjoy the game. I kind of think that my willingness to just jump back all the time and play Destiny has been kind of dampened by the by the way PvP is right now. But I still very much enjoy playing the game, and I love the social aspect and playing with friends. So
because that's your bread and butter is PvP, am I right? That's what you love to do. Have you been playing any more Fortnite or PUBG? Because that used to be a trend. I
haven't touched Fortnite in a while, and PUBG I haven't played in a even longer time. Fortnite is something I don't know when I'm going to get back to it or not. I kind of like right now what I'm doing with streaming, where I have like more relaxed games where I can talk to people more, as opposed to playing a game that I want to try to get better at, and I'm not paying attention as much to people talking to me. So I don't know when I'm going to get back to that. So
fun thing that I watched over the past week is I sort of got into, because I thought it was fun, is watching the videos about salty PUBG players where they just fucking go nuts or start cursing out people, and it's just hilarious that people can get so salty over a game. I mean, I can get... Obviously, I can put myself in those shoes where I get pissed off, but I'm not just going to go rattling off, just like yelling at people, like trying to ban them or calling them names. I'm going to get pissed off. But, I mean, it's just here or there. I mean, I played Shadow of War today, and I got annoyed because it always seems like it was like that moment in where you're trying to do something like last bit, but for some reason the character or... I was fighting basically a Nazgul, and it sort of disappeared from me, when it's supposed to just stay still when you're like stunning it or you're trying to banish it basically, and it disappeared behind me and then hit me, and I just got pissed because maybe you could have countered it, but I just thought that I should have been able to, hold it steady and banish it, so then I had to start all over, and it's the aspect of starting over that just frustrates me to no end. It just freaks me out. But on the notion of Shadow of War, I've actually gotten more into it. Been really enjoying it. This is the first time I played it was before we recorded this episode, and this is the first time where they hit me in the face with like, oh, you got this amount of gold for free, go check out these microtransactions and open these loot boxes. I was like, alright, this is kind of annoying, but I'll do it anyway. The thing that's frustrating, if you're going to put loot boxes in the game, actually make the system go quickly. Don't make it where you load it up and then it takes a while for the loot boxes or whatever you're getting to load. It's just kind of frustrating. But other than that, I've been enjoying it. I've been storming, I don't know if I talked about last week, but I've been storming fortresses, taking out war chiefs. It's fucking, I think why am I cursing there? It sort of happens when I'm in the zone and I'm just talking about things and I start cursing, trying to be more cognizant about that. But I don't know, just storming the fortresses are actually kind of cool. You have siege beasts on both sides. You have orcs that you've controlled on your side talking to you, and the gigantic war chief comes out and like taunts you basically. You can, before you storm a fortress, take out other war chiefs. Not the fortress leader, other war chiefs, to weaken their fortresses, so there's less, defenses. So they don't have beasts, or they don't have these random fighters, or they don't have these poison barrels that they can dump down on you. So I did this past storming of a fortress. I decided, you know what, I wanted to have some fun, so I didn't take out all the war chiefs because I wanted to see what would happen if there's more of them. So I left the other fortress having their siege. I can't say that for some reason quickly. Siege beasts. So they're launching fireballs or poison balls at me. I'm launching cursed balls at them, and explosions everywhere. They have drakes flying in. I think they've done a pretty good job of actually making that a spectacle. Mind you, story mode is, again, a knock on it. I keep mentioning that every time I play it. Like, I don't care about the story too much. I'm not too into it. I like the Nemesis system, though. How you can, control orcs, have them betray other war chiefs in a cinematic way, have them fight each other in like a war pit style mode where you're just basically watching. It's kind of like in Oblivion where you would go bet on the side and you just watch people go at it, but obviously because it's next generation, it's cooler looking than in Oblivion where they're just swinging wildly going here.
Well, they'd be swinging at each other, and they also be kind of like sliding all over the place. It was kind of bizarre, the player movement in that game. Didn't make any sense sometimes, or a lot of the time.
Yeah. Ah, man, I remember in Oblivion that arena, I'd always go first. I would always go there first for some reason. I wanted to get that done because I really enjoyed that storyline of working your way up. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah, storming the fortresses, taking out outpost leaders, then assigning your war chief, or your basically fortress leader. I came across an orc that I really love. I adore him. I didn't put him as the fortress leader just because he wasn't high enough level, but he became a war chief. But I love him. He's called, I think it's like Lord the Bard. So he's basically a orc that has a guitar, but it has like an axe on the side of the guitar. So he like sings when he fights. So when I dominated him and he came up, he started singing. I was like, yes. Also, I didn't mention last time is that I fought the fortress leader. And for some reason, I kept getting my ass kicked. I don't know if it was just because I wasn't a high enough level or I was trying to do too many things that I couldn't handle at that time. But I was about to be killed because I got down multiple times. And after 3 chances of, getting back up, because there's a quick time event basically to get back up, you're basically automatically going to die when this happens. But Forgoth came out of nowhere. You remember that? The DLC, but it's actually not DLC anymore. He's just automatically in the game. So he came up out of nowhere, the Orc Slayer, and he just came out and just wrecked shop on the one, fortress leader. And it was kind of cool that happened just organically. I didn't expect it because I thought it was a downloadable thing you had to get later on, but apparently now it's actually in the game. Do you remember that, basically, where it was, paying retrospects to the one developer on the studio who passed away, so he's actually now in the game. And I thought that was really rad that he came and helped me out right early on. I thought that was kind of cool.
Sick.
Yeah,
cool.
So that's been my experience with Shadow of War. If you wanted to know, people, it's been a fun time. I really do have been enjoying it. It's not the story that I've been enjoying. It's just basically the game mode. The gameplay just feels great. Running around, stealth killing orcs, dominating them, having war captains fight each other. It's really cool. Don't care about the story. I mean, I didn't care about the story in the first one, so.
Gameplay sometimes is all that matters, and that's coming from somebody that really cares deeply about stories. But yeah,
I'm more of actually on the gameplay side. If something feels great, I don't need to know everything about the story. That's why I like the 2D platformers or Metroidvanias where I don't follow the story as much. Where if the story is very obtuse, I could care less as long as it feels great. Like Sundered, that old the other game that I used to be playing. actually streamed it once. If anyone wants to check it out, the video. But yeah, it was a 2D Metroidvania, lots of monsters coming at it, and it just felt great. And that's all I really care about. That's why I liked one of these games that we're going to mention in the future that Sony announced in the press conference. But before we get into all the news that's been going on this past week, we have to get into This Week in Gaming, brought to you by Gatorade. Take it away, Gary.
Will do, son. All right, so This Week in Gaming, the first game, and the only game I have, because we have a lot of games to talk about this week, I want to keep it brief. The game that was released this week, back in 2009, was Dragon Age Origins, and it was released on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Windows. Now, this was the first game in the Dragon Age franchise. It was described by BioWare. Now, this is per Wikipedia, by the way. That's where I got all my facts. It was described by BioWare as the spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights. Now, for those that aren't aware, it was set in the fictional kingdom of Ferelden during a period of civil strife. The game puts the player in the role of a warrior, mage, or rogue coming from an elven, human, or dwarven background. The player character is recruited into the Grey Wardens, an ancient order that stands against demonic forces known as Darkspawn, and is tasked with defeating the archdemon that commands them and ending their invasion, known as the Blight. Now, interestingly enough, I didn't know this. The game was actually originally slated to be just a PC release, but it was actually announced it was coming to console in 2008, and there was actually going to be future editions coming, or I guess the game had a future on consoles, meaning sequels and stuff would come later on. Ultimately, the game would be received very well for its quality story, characters, and gameplay, and it was actually chosen as the PC Game of the Year, Best Xbox 360 RPG of the Year, Best Story of the Year, and Best PC Role-Playing Game of the Year by IGN. Now, this game, I actually never owned this game. I remember playing... I know, and I think I played Dragon Age 2. It might have been Dragon Age 2.
Poor choice.
Over a friend's house. It wasn't mine. I never bought it. But apparently this game's on Steam, and it's like for $20. So maybe I'll partake eventually.
Don't say maybe. Actually go out and get it, Gary, because this is what I feel like. Are you a fan of the fantasy realm, like Lord of the Rings style kind of?
It's not something that I'm like huge on, but I like RPGs, and I'm not bothered by the fantasy realm. I mean, Oblivion was kind of that, or Elder Scrolls is kind of that sort, I guess you could say.
Yeah, this is definitely more of like a darker take, I guess you could say, on that realm, and it's built by BioWare. Kind of reminds me of KOTOR a little bit with the, tactical nature of it, where you're not really actually... Because that's where they got away with Dragon Age, the second one on console, where it felt more of like an action RPG where you're going around slashing people. This is more of a tactical based where you have your main character, but also like 3 or 4 others around you. You can send them off to do different things during a battle, or send them to attack a certain person, and you're just making sure that you make it through. And it's BioWare, so they're... In this era, they were amazing at storytelling, and there's a lot of different branching paths that can happen. A lot of intrigue, and I really enjoyed this game. It was one of my favorite games on the 360, and I would highly recommend you actually checking it out. Maybe you should actually stream it to your 11 followers, Gary. Maybe you'll get up to 15 by the time you're done streaming it.
It could happen. I mean, I'm trying to pick games that don't have as big of populations, so maybe I'll be able to do that. But yeah, this game, what was I going to say? This is like the peak of BioWare, I feel like. I think it is the peak. You have like Mass Effect, Dragon Age. You had all these amazing games coming out this particular time. And I feel like once Mass Effect 3 happened, where that whole debacle about the ending.
It wasn't a debacle. It was
I know.
BioWare telling their own story, but people got butthurt about it.
I know. Believe me, I'm not debating any of that. But what I'm saying is I think that once the Mass Effect 3 came out and that whole ending debacle where everybody freaked out, I think it kind of was like the beginning of the end. I mean, not that they're finished or anything. I don't think that by any means. But it seems like the public opinion has kind of disintegrated over time. So when it comes to BioWare, which is unfortunate. Because
did you dare say that they were the CD Projekt Red of their time? I
think you could say that. Absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, I know we're a video game podcast, but were they always owned or under EA? I can't remember for the life of me. I just don't know.
I don't really think so. Because I remember playing when I played Knights of the Republic. It's BioWare and then LucasArts, and there's no mention of EA at the time. So I don't think BioWare was always owned by EA. That's just my personal opinion. Of course, I see you're looking it up right now.
Yeah, they bought them in 2007.
Okay, so BioWare wasn't at the time of KOTOR owned.
Yeah, which I don't know. It just seems like in today's realm, they're sort of. I don't know if they have the freedom now to tell that story, the single player story we've been talking about. Is this is the end of single player games? But it is definitely going to be the end for BioWare, I think. Single player wise, because they're under EA and they're under this mass publisher who needs to make a profit on the game, and they need to elongate the games that they are putting out and have a game as a platform where it can actually extend a longer time period where they can actually rake in more money from the consumers. And again, that is all up to the consumers if they actually want to put in money to EA.
Yeah, unfortunate times, but yeah, that has been it. By the way, for This Week in Gaming. Hope you all appreciate it. Adam, take it away with the news. There's plenty of stuff to cover.
There's plenty of stuff, and I think we're going to get a little hyped on it. I don't know if everyone's going to have the same opinion that we do about certain things, and that's okay. I just want to put that out there right now. It's okay if you don't have the same opinion that we do. That's what, is allowed in this space. You can have a different opinion than us, and we can interact and talk and understand what's going on. Just don't yell at us, because that doesn't accomplish anything. Yelling never accomplishes anything, folks. Just want to put that out there first. But starting off, I guess, we're going to talk about the Sony press conference at Paris Game Week and go through a good sleuth of things that were released and trailers that were announced. The first being that was actually kind of exciting was the Ghost of Tsumi.
I think it's Tsushima.
Tsushima. Fuck. What do I know? If you're a continued listener of Two Jersey Kids, you know that I would have effed this up no matter what. But this game was it's the first that now we know of the next Sucker Punch game, which is exciting. They were behind the superhero series Infamous, and I was excited to see what they were going to do next. So this is apparently a brand new adventure called Ghost of Tsushima. Described as an open-world adventure, the new title was teased with a brief trailer that showed off some incredible stylized action set in what looks like feudal era Japan. And I put all the trailers in this. You checked it out, but I want to get your opinion on this. But before we go into that, I did notice that in the trailer they mentioned that it was 1274, and for some reason I had inkling that date was kind of significant. I don't know if it's from what I heard in the past, podcasts I've listened to, history-wise, or, read something somewhere. But I looked it up, and per Wikipedia, using your infinite wisdom of going to Wikipedia, apparently, during that time, because there looks like there was a war that's going on in the trailer, and it seems like it coincides with the Mongol invasion of Japan that took place in 1274, which is the exact date that the game has, which is crazy. So there was major military efforts undertaken by Kublai Khan to conquer Japanese archipelago. I'm not, after the submission of Korea to the vassaldom. Ultimately a failure, the invasion attempts are a macro-historical importance because they set a limit on the Mongol expansion and rank as nation-defining events in the history of Japan. So that's, again, I feel like they are talking about this Mongol invasion of Japan, where basically I'm going to go more into actually what I found online, which I thought was kind of cool. So starting off, the Mongols apparently possessed foreign weapons, which included a superior long-range armaments like poison arrows, fire arrows, bow-launched arrows with small rocket engines attached, gunpowder-packed exploding arrows, and grenades with ceramic shells thrown by slings to terrify enemy horses, and easily had the upper hand in open land combat. The Japanese force at Hakata Bay needed to wait the arrival of reinforcements, which they would be able to overwhelm the Mongol invaders. So it goes to show that these Mongols had, high-tech firepower, basically, when they were invading Japan. And I don't know about you, Gary, but when I see all those, high-tech, I put in quotes, artillery, basically, it kind of screams like a video game. You going around collecting these new things like, oh, this is cool. Maybe I can start using it against them. Another thing that is important to note, there was actually two invasions, 1274 and 1281, where the Mongols tried to come back and invade Japan with a larger army built of Koreans and the Chinese as well, and that kind of screams there's going to be a sequel or DLC of some kind where they're basically, you fend them off in the first game and then you're like, I'll be back, and then they're back, like the classic. But apparently, I saw this was actually kind of a fun fact, so it seems like this would be an overarching plot where you're trying to join all the samurais together. So basically, from a military perspective, the failed invasion of the Kublai Khan were the first of only 3 instances where the samurai fought foreign troops rather than amongst themselves. It is also the first time samurai clans fought for the sake of Japan itself, instead of more narrowly defined clan interests. So it seems like maybe that is going to be what you're going to partake in this open world adventure where you're trying to band the samurai clans together where they're notorious for fighting amongst each other. Bring them together to fight this Mongolian invasion, and having the clash between, I think it's kind of cool, having the clash between samurais, which are amazing one-on-one combat, extraordinary soldiers, basically, and then going up against these Mongol forces who are just, I don't want to say savages, but that's basically how they fight. They're just overwhelming odds. They ride on horseback, shooting bows and arrows. It just seems like it will be fascinating, and I feel like I'm excited to see what Sucker Punch does with this.
Yeah, so I know how I've said this for a while, and I know you criticized me in the past for it, but it's nice to see a fresh experience coming to the PlayStation. Mm-hmm. I think, a lot of times you see just a lot of similar games out there. They might have like a certain twist, but you see like your space shooters or your space RPGs. You see, I don't know. Well, you see whatever. But like now you get this type of open world adventure set in a completely different setting. In 1274 in Asia, I think it's just a really cool setting, and the trailer honestly blew me away. I think it looks awesome. It looks really absurdly badass in my, for lack of a better word. I
don't know who that actor is who's playing, I think, the Mongol leader, but I've definitely seen him before in roles, and he looks very menacing in this game, and that sets the scene basically for what's going to happen, and I'm excited to see. It's kind of like a historical fiction take on what happened in that era, and me being me, I do love me some historical fiction. That's one of my favorite genre of books to actually read. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, that's one of them. I don't know if that's historical fiction, but it's fucking rad. But moving on to another game, which was kind of called off guard by, I was anyway, it was Spelunky 2. It's one of the most celebrated indie games of all time, and it's getting the long-awaited sequel. The cave-dwelling adventures of Spelunky will soon continue, though for now details are slim. That we don't know exactly too much what's going to happen with Spelunky 2, but it will be coming to PS4, and I do have to say there wasn't too much with the actual trailer, just the fact that it was Spelunky 2, and people adored this indie. I don't know if you've seen this game, Gary, but it's basically you're going down into levels of a cave, experiencing different things, trying to collect loot, and, it's kind of a roguelike where once you die, you go back to the top, and you have to go back all the way back down it's all random generated caves, and you have to go all the way through. I really enjoy playing this game actually on the Vita. My one note is what exactly new are they going to do with Spelunky 2, because the Spelunky 1 was kind of like perfect, so I don't understand what they're going to do to make 2 stand out from the first one. Is it going to be carbon copy? I'm not too sure, but I'm excited to see what Mammoth actually can bring to the table.
Well, actually, to piggyback off what you were saying, Wave Play on here, there's a commenter on YouTube, and he or she says, "Oh my God, Derek Yu has huge balls to even think of making a sequel to the perfect video game." So apparently, this game was perfect. I never played it myself, but
it's on Steam. You probably can check it out, and you can get frustrated like I did when I was playing that game. The game's actually really fun. It has like a whip mechanic that you see in like Castlevania kind of, where you're whipping things, you take down bats, spiders, and you're just trying to make it through. It seems very simple and easy, but then you get the itch to collect more gold throughout the levels, and then you sort of F up one time and you're kind of screwed. So I think it's a very fun game that always brought you back, so I am excited to see what innovations they have to the second one. The next one was just kind of shocking, but maybe it's the perfect time to bring it back. Guacamelee 2! The quirky luchador-inspired Metroidvania, Guacamelee is getting a sequel, and it's making its debut on PlayStation 4. The side-scrolling adventure is a direct follow-up to the 2013 original, and will introduce a new threat to the very fabric of space and time, as well as the much-improved chicken action. I did love that in the first game. Guacamelee 2 is coming to PS4, quote-unquote, soonish. I did love Guacamelee, the original. I think I got it for PS Plus when it came out to Vita. Again, shout out to the Vita. My love. My true love. Marta's not here to hear me say that. But I love this game, developed by Drinkbox. Fantastic, quirky concept, kind of with a somewhat sad ending, so to speak. But again, Metroidvania, going around, fighting off bosses, and seeing this trailer where there's actually gameplay, where you're hopping from platform to platform, floating down, floating up, navigating spikes. It just like screams an Atom game if there ever was. This is my type of game. I love 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania platforming. I love it.
Yeah, I figured you would be extraordinarily excited about this release. I saw Guacamelee, and I'm like, for some reason, I hear an old episode of Two Jersey Kids just kind of like in my head right now, where you're talking about this game and talking about how amazing the Vita is or was.
Live the Vita. R.I.P. Vita. Maybe there'll be a Vita 2. I'll hold out hope. It can dethrone the Switch. I guarantee you, if they brought it back, Switch would be kaput! Kaput, I tell you!
Bold claims.
KOTOR 3 is your, Alien Theory, and then the Vita 2 is mine. So
there we go.
Moving on, The Gardens Between is apparently it's actually kind of a cute trailer that we saw. Going forward in time, back in time, sort of like a puzzle platform. It's described as a quote-unquote surreal story of friendship, and it looks to follow the story of two characters as they make their way through a strange world filled with impossible huge objects like soaring Jenga towers and massive game consoles. Developers say you can control the flow of time in the game, which should make for some interesting narrative puzzles. The Garden Between is launching for PS4 sometime next year. I do want to make note that the developers, Voxel Agents, have only, when I looked at their site, have only developed iOS Android games prior to this in the form of Train Conductor 1, 2, and Train Conductor World, and then Puzzle Retreat. I'm not saying that the game's going to bust. I'm not saying that there's no chance that the game will be good. I'm just trying to temper my expectations because I haven't seen this developer actually build this type of game before, and it does look beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It looks like there's going to be interesting puzzles, but I want to see how this developer puts it together because I've never seen them actually do it in a larger, quote-unquote, larger capacity like what this game is going to be. Yeah.
This game has that real artsy vibe to it. I'm not sure if it's necessarily my style, but I'm looking through the trailer actually right now, kind of looking at stills, and, it's definitely doing something different. Again, I think, I was saying before about fresh experiences. I think that this is something else that is going to add to the PlayStation 4 library. It's something that looks different and unique. But like you said, coming from this developer, we don't know too much about how this game is going to perform once it finally hits console and you see the whole game instead of just these select pictures select videos that they've refined over time. So
it kind of reminds me of a combination of like Captain Toad, which is like the levels in Captain Toad where they were kind of like cube-like, where it was only individual small condensed levels. But these are obviously not just straight up cubes, but a combination of that and Escape Plan, where in Escape Plan you hit, go forward and your characters always go forward and they don't stop. But this, you can rewind time, so you can change different things for your character, I guess, these two characters to solve this puzzle. So it's kind of cool. Again, I'm not saying I'm not excited for it. I'm just saying I don't know how this game is actually going to do, but I mean, again, they're getting their shot. They're on the PlayStation conference, so they got more eyes on this game. So hopefully they deliver. I'm excited. Hopefully the studio can deliver. So I believe in them, as you can tell. Megalith, in the next trailer we're talking about, it's apparently described as a hero shooter. Think of a colorful team-based games like Overwatch, but the twist is that you play in virtual reality. The game has players controlling powerful creatures called Titans fighting to become even more powerful gods. I just want to say that this trailer is a nothing burger. The nothing was shown in this trailer. I don't know what this game is besides the description that I got. I have no idea. Would not guess this from this game, but
this more or less reminds me of like a reveal trailer, where you just show like a quick glimpse of something, kind of like how they did Battlefront, where what was it, like the AT-AT walking through the snow or something like that on Hoth? I think that's what that reveal was for Battlefront. This is what it reminds me of. It's nothing crazy. I mean,
but the thing with Battlefront is that it's a franchise people know. It's Star Wars.
True.
This is just Megalith. No one has a clue what this is, so I don't understand what the purpose of this trailer was.
Yeah, I mean, the twist of virtual reality would have been cooler if there was more shown before it, where they, like at the very end, they show the guy with the hands of whatever the hell that creature is supposed to be. It would have been cool if there was something before that to kind of make it seem like, oh my God, I get to do that in virtual reality. But unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Yeah, and it's strange. When it comes to virtual reality, when I hear people playing virtual reality, I keep hearing that they don't play it for a long, extended period of time, maybe 2 hours at most. So I'm not sure how an Overwatch-style game is actually going to translate to virtual reality, where people are just looking for small, condensed experiences. Because I can understand you don't want exactly to be in, this encompassed in this type of world for longer than 2 hours at most. If that makes any sense. So I'll be interested to see how it plays out in the future.
Indeed. I keep going.
Moving on. The stupid Skype is slowing us down right now. We have some sort of delay. It doesn't happen as often, but I figure I'd just be upfront and honest with the Jersey kids. Just tell them how it is. Sometimes Skype gives us technical difficulties, and maybe we need to switch over to something like Discord or something. Maybe there's less lag. Who knows? Next game. Shout out to Allison, one of our Jersey kids out there. I don't know if she listens anymore. She doesn't interact with us as much, but not shots fired or anything. But if you're listening right now, this is for you. Final Fantasy 15 episode Ignis. The final major single-player add-on for Final Fantasy 15 is on its way, and we finally have a date. Episode Ignis will debut on December 13th. The trailer did look actually kind of promising with some story revealed with it. You get to pilot a speedboat, and it seems like you probably can learn some more recipes along the way. If anybody's played Final Fantasy 15, Ignis, I think, was the one that cooked all the delicious meals in that game. I do want to give a shout out to Final Fantasy 15. I did enjoy the game. Never got around to beating it, but I really enjoyed where it was going. Fast traveling was kind of strange going around in the car. I wasn't too much a fan of that, because when I just want to fast travel, I just want to get there and not waste time of just traveling in a car all the way there. But that's just me. I'm just a millennial that has, ACD. That's not ACD. I was
ACDC?
I was combining OCD with ADHD or, ADD. There it is.
Oh, God, he's dying.
Excuse me. Moving on to actually one of my trailers that I really loved in this showcase was the Hong Kong Massacre. Following Reckon Games' recently released Runner, the Hong Kong Massacre is a game that looks to marry brutal violence of Hotline Miami with a distinct look and feel. The Hong Kong Massacre is coming to PS4 in 2018. Gary, I want to let you know this was actually my third favorite trailer of this whole bunch, I guess you could say. I love the Hotline Miami vibes that you're getting with the top-down visualized kind of style mixed with it. It kind of reminds me of like an action movie that you see, stylized in like rain coming down. You're doing a lot of shooting gunplay, bullets flying everywhere. It kind of reminds you a little bit of John Wick, if you ever seen those movies. I keep seeing people saying that it's cyberpunk. I don't know about you, Gary, but did you see any cyberpunk when it came to this trailer? It just seemed like a normal, Hong Kong Japanese style action movie, just very hyper real, top down version of it.
I felt more of the John Wick vibes, and I mean, I haven't even really seen John Wick, but I know of that that style of movie, and it does remind me of it. I think it's for me personally. I don't play a lot of top down games. I really haven't played. I mean, it's been a long time since I played one. It's really cool to see studios kind of go back to this style of gameplay with today's graphics and today's like art styles and capabilities. It just looks awesome. I mean, just to put it plainly.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I love the top-down shooter. You definitely should check out Hotline Miami. Maybe you can stream that as well. I'm giving you so many left and right ideas of things to stream, Gary. You need to hop on it. But it does look like you're actually going to be part of the triad or trying to take them down, and you're going to go throughout Hong Kong and just basically looks like you're going to be shooting it out with the triad or the police. Who knows? But it looks amazing. Next, you have Concrete Genie, which is, according to the description, is a beautiful-looking adventure about a child exploring the world full of magic and monsters. Concrete Genie puts you in the role of a bullied teen who escapes by creating his own living landscapes. This game, actually, when I saw the trailer, kind of reminds me of Dreams, where you're sort of creating like the story or creating things in the world. It's kind of, I think, kind of fun or a cute idea where you create different monsters with different like abilities where they can unlock like gates to this portion of the world, like the electricity monster that we saw in the trailer. Hit a fuse box and then it was able to open up a gate for your character to move forward. Honestly, in my opinion, the game does look cute, but it doesn't seem like my exactly cup of tea. I don't think it's standing out too much for me to actually hop into this game in the future. Maybe my mind will change, but as of right now, this type of game doesn't grab me enough to go into. I don't know. That's just me.
I do like the game. I like the original gameplay mechanics that is associated with this game. At least I think they're original. They seem original to me, but I do like that. The art style kind of reminds me of something like Flame in the Flood by Molasses Flood. Kind of just, it gave me that vibe as soon as I saw it. But yeah, I agree. This isn't something that completely piques my interest, but I'm sure somewhere out there someone's very excited about this game.
I'm sure they are, and I'm sure this tickles their artistic fancy. I'm sure it tickles their giblets real nice, but just maybe not be for me. Moving on to another exciting trailer, Marvel's Spider-Man. I don't have much to say. It just seems like it looks like you're already, from what I gather from the trailer, you took down the Kingpin. And it seems like, especially at the beginning, there seems like a lull when it comes to crime fighting, and maybe Peter Parker's deciding maybe it's the best to just move things along, put things away. Maybe Spider-Man's not needed, quote unquote, anymore. But I'm really excited. The trailer looked amazing. Looks like a great open world. Looks beautiful. And I trust Insomniac to bring back the open world Spider-Man game that we all want from the Spider-Man 2 era on the Xbox, where that game was amazing. And I could definitely, Insomniac has made great games, and I feel like they could bring a fun, exciting energy to the Marvel Spider-Man universe, and I'm really excited to see what their take on Spider-Man is, and I'm pumped.
Now, this game they showed a gameplay, if I remember correctly. They showed gameplay video at E3, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember watching that.
It was kind of like it reminded me of Batman Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum style, where you're creeping on walls, taking down folks, but as Spider-Man instead of Batman. The combat kind of looks similar too, but it looks free flowing and looks awesome in my opinion. But continue, Gary.
No, I was going to say I'm not much of a superhero guy, but the game looked awesome, and I think if it can impress somebody that isn't really into the superhero genre, I think it's doing something right.
I agree. I think it is doing something right, and I feel like maybe this is Marvel deciding maybe I shouldn't give these licenses out to just Activision, who will just try to make a quick buck on it. Maybe we should create titles that engender the fan base and makes people excited and actually treat them with care. And that's what I'm excited about most, is that it seems like Marvel is now going down this route. I still need to check out, and that reminds me, I need to check out Spider-Man Homecoming, because I heard good things, and now Thor Ragnarok came out today. So I got a lot of superhero movies to catch up on. I'm kind of getting a little drained and falling behind when it comes to superhero movies. But moving on, second to last we're going to talk about is Detroit Become a Human. all I really have to say about this is Jesus Christmas. That trailer is insane. I honestly don't know how this game is going to come together. Maybe all these androids, all these stories that you're playing out, maybe they're going to come together. All the androids are going to meet. I'm really fascinated to find out what this story is going to behold. And I kind of wanted to see what your reactions are, because you were a fan of Heavy Rain and the guys and gals behind that, and they're bringing this game. They sort of had a mixed bag reaction to their last one. It was like Beyond Too Human. So I'm wondering, it seems like they're back to form, Heavy Rain form with this one, and all the branching paths that you can take with these characters and the different things that can happen. And it looks really rad, honestly.
What's really interesting to me is, okay, so Heavy Rain dealt with a kind of like a sensitive subject, which is kidnapping, I guess you could say. And they went right back to the same old sensitive subject, I feel like, with, basically child abuse. You see this trailer here where, the dad basically, in that one instance, in that one branch of, I guess, events that can happen, he ends up killing his daughter. I'm assuming, right? He kills her.
Yeah. That seems like the original event that does happen if you don't do anything.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, this is like really dark. But I like dark stories and dark games like that. I was a big fan of Heavy Rain despite its faults. So this game looks really interesting to me. I have to believe I'm going to actually end up buying this game and playing it. So as we learn more, I'm looking forward to learning more. So as we learn more, I guess I'll make my decision. But it looks great so far. It looks really interesting, really dark.
Yeah, and we're going to touch on the dark storyline, I guess, in that when it comes to, we're going to combine the two just in a discussion when it comes to this trailer and the next trailer, which was Last of Us Part 2. I personally thought that this trailer was amazing. I thought it was great. I thought it captured my attention. It was very gritty, which fits in with the world, and also it seems like we'll be following kind of a different cast of characters, whether or not that'll be... People are theorizing maybe that woman in this trailer was Ellie's mom, who knows? I would also like to, real quick, toot my own horn, because I did call the fact that woman, when she fell, it sounded like Laura Bailey's voice, because I've heard her enough in Critical Role and other games that she's playing, because I've been hearing her now in Shadow of War, because she's another main character in that, and she's everywhere now, it seems like. But I don't want to toot my own horn on that. But apparently now, people have been upset. If you haven't seen the trailer, it's very brutal. I can tell you right now. It looks like they're trying to hang basically Laura Bailey's character, and then a kid comes out of nowhere. I think they capture a kid, and the main woman leader says clip her rings, so she takes a hammer, bashes one of her arms, then all of a sudden somebody's getting shot with arrows, shot through the forehead, somebody's getting choked out, the girl's being swung because she has a rope around her neck. They cut her down, and it seems like that's basically where it ends. And definitely a brutal trailer, don't get me wrong, but apparently people are upset. I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if they're upset with the fact that it was a brutal trailer, or it was violence towards women or children. Honestly, I have no idea what they're angry about anymore. Seems like they're just upset just because they want to be. I don't know, but I'm just going to go right into it on my take. I guess I can understand why people will be upset that they would show this type of violence during a press conference. But still, as PlayStation executive Jim Ryan said in her interview, The Last of Us is, quote, obviously is a game made by adults to be played by adults, end quote. People complaining that this game is too violent are the people that are also saying that they want video games to be a respected media or medium for storytelling in the same vein as books and movies. I guess what, people, in my opinion, you can have both. Books and movies, you can have a great lighthearted creation like in video games where you have Mario Odyssey. Lighthearted, not touching on dark subjects at all, but you can also have great dark violent creations, great storytelling in The Last of Us. And honestly, if you want outsiders to start taking this industry seriously, or if you want to keep crying out that video games are serious, video games are great storytelling, you gotta stop acting like babies when something violent is showcased in a game where the scenario kind of calls for. Last of Us is built around this gritty storytelling where in the first game, it wasn't the clickers that you were most afraid of. It was the actual humans because, let's be honest, in a real-life situation, there's going to be complete jerks, I guess you could say, in this situation where they are, trying to survive and animal instincts are going to take over and they're going to do some heinous things. That's what's going to happen. In my opinion, if there's no backstory to the violence, if there's no reason for the violence, but the fact that we got, the original, it makes sense in my opinion. But if we're getting, there's games that come out where it's just the main characters going around to murder innocent people for no reason, that doesn't make sense in my opinion. That I wouldn't play that. But if the scene fits in the world, I completely agree to keep it in, and I think it was right to showcase because great stories, in my opinions, are one that sticks with the audience and don't baby the audience. It doesn't baby us when we see this type of scenario that's happening in a world that makes sense. And honestly, let's be honest, whether it's good press or bad press, the Last of Us trailer is sticking in your mind right now because it is so gritty, so dark. Along with Detroit Become Humans, that trailer was insanely dark, but sometimes dark, crazy things stick in our mind and that sticks with us. And I remember seeing a Ford article saying that it was, disgusting and it stuck in my mind and I felt sick to my stomach. I was like, well, guess what? This is what do you expect of The Last of Us? It's a dark, gritty world, and how else are they going to get people interested in this game? And I don't know. This trailer is still in my brain. I can vividly see it because I know each individual part of it, and I only saw it, I think, once. So the fact that it was so dark, it does, sink into, our minds. And I feel like I'm really excited to hop into this world and see what Laura Bailey's character is and see all the different characters that maybe Last of Us is going to take place. I know you're supposed to be playing as Ellie as the main character, but it feels like you're going to be playing as other characters as well. And I don't know about you, G, but I kind of really enjoyed both trailers because I didn't feel like a baby. I felt like this was like a legitimate, R-rated movie that I was watching a trailer for.
Yeah, what do these people expect? I mean, it's a post-apocalyptic game. Basically all rules are off. People are doing whatever they please. It's anarchy. What do you expect to be in this game? Do you think it's going to be like this, kind of like a nice look at the apocalyptic world? I mean, I don't really understand. So, and on top of that, what have these people been doing their entire lives? Have they just avoided all the crazy movies that come out, that show off unbelievable amounts of violence? What about Game of Thrones? I mean, do they just ignore that part of the industry? I mean, it's not a video game, but it still shows, unbelievable amounts of sex, unbelievable amounts of violence. I mean, twisted violence and twisted sex. I mean, you see rape happen in that show. But no one cares.
Castration as well happened in that show. It's a lot.
So, I don't really understand why people are upset. I understand some people don't respond to violence well. They don't like the sight of seeing people's arms broken. I completely understand. It's quite graphic, but then this game isn't for you. It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
Don't play the game. Obviously, you're not into that sort of thing. I mean, I don't really like watching people's arms get broken, but I enjoy the genre. I enjoy this type of game. So I'm all about this game. I'm really excited for it. I actually think, I've liked this trailer more than I liked the original trailer. I haven't seen the original one in a while. But I'm really excited for this sequel. Could it be better than the original Last of Us? I don't know, but I think it's going to be a very impactful game, as we've seen from this trailer. I mean, this trailer itself has had this much of an impact on the gaming industry. I can only imagine what the full product is. So,
and could you imagine if they actually didn't show this trailer, and they didn't talk too much about it, and this portion of the game was actually in the game of itself? I don't think you would hear a word about it from people. I don't think people would be up in arms because people that are actually going out and buying this game are the people that can take this type of genre and not be completely flabbergasted by the amounts of violence because that's what they expect in this game because they played the first one.
Well, first of all, if you're going to be a company and you're going to market your product, you're not going to market it in a way where people are like, oh, well, so you're not going to market it where it's like, hey, did you see that Last of Us trailer? No, I don't really remember. No, you're going to market it so that people remember what your message was or what you're basically creating. And I think they've done an unbelievable job at getting people to pick up on what game they're making and getting people aware. So kudos to Naughty Dog once more for making an amazing product.
the trailers that stick in my mind the most. I don't remember the Ghost of Tsushima that much. I don't remember the Hong Kong Massacre as much. I remember the main trailers I remember are The Last of Us and Detroit Become Human because of such a, dark, gritty story that they are portraying in this, basically this trailer, I guess you could say. But again, in Detroit Become Human, you can do different things. They're showcasing how you can stop this violence that it's happening. But it is possible. And, there is just the way that they're marketing. And I guess if you're upset, then don't play the game if you're going to be upset about violence. That's just my opinion. If you want to be baby, then go play Mario Odyssey. If you want to play a baby game, go play Nintendo. I'm not saying that's a bad thing to play baby games on Nintendo, but it's just the way that it is. If you want a darker storytelling, then you're going to have to branch out and play on Xbox or play on PC or play on PS4 because that's where more of the dark, gritty worlds are. But there are worlds for people. Just don't pay attention to these darker stories if you know you're not going to like them. That's just
couldn't agree more. You took the words right out of my mouth, sir.
Woo, doctor, this is going to be a long episode. Moving on. Apparently, the download version of LA Noire is too big for the Switch. Did you hear about this, Gary?
I did.
Rockstar is now supporting the Switch with LA Noire. That's coming out on November 14th. Both download and cartridge-based versions are apparently hefty. The download version is 29 gigabytes in size, while the cartridge version requires 14 gigabytes. The system itself reserves 6.2 gigabytes of this 32 gigabytes of onboard storage, so if you buy the downloadable edition of the LA Noire, you're going to need a separate micro SD card. And honestly, this was one of my concerns to begin with, the fact that the Switch doesn't have as much built-in storage. But again, the SD cards are now, because they've been made over and over and repetitive and they've gotten larger and larger, SD cards are now a lot cheaper than they used to be. And being a Vita owner, it did suck when I had to buy specifically PlayStation Vita memory cards where they were just up the yin-yang worth of cost. And they still are because no one develops these type of memory cards. SD cards are universal. They used in like my Google Chromebook. I have one. You can use it in other things. You can use an SD card, so it makes sense that it's not going to be as expensive. So it's not like I'm not too mad about it. I kind of saw this coming, and it made sense. It would make sense if you go out and purchase the SD card.
It's unfortunate. I think that this happened. I mean, I think it's kind of inconvenient for some people to have to run out and buy an SD card, but it's something that's you can work around. It's not like it's, game breaking or console breaking. So, it is what it is. I think with the Switch, you bought the console, you knew what it, obviously they had to, I guess, cut corners in terms of storage because of how the console is supposed to, behave. It's supposed to be a portable hybrid. So you got to kind of accept that with this sort of thing. So,
I agree. I'm going to move on to some more sad news, though. It's kind of sad for me because I enjoyed these games. Blog post from Housemarque, a letter to the fans. I'm just going to read most of the blog post. For more than 20 years, we've been carrying the torch for arcade, bringing arcade coin-op-inspired games to the market with Housemarque twist, and I think it's fair to say we've gotten pretty good at it by now. Our games have received great critical reception over the years, perhaps the best being Nex Machina, which we published in June to great critical acclaim, garnering an 88 on Metacritic. Nex Machina was a dream product as we got to work with our hero and arcade legend Eugene Jarvis, who's responsible for some of the most revered arcade games. However, despite critical success and numerous awards, our games just haven't sold significant numbers. While some of them have reached massive audience due to free game offerings across various digital sales channels, this unfortunately doesn't help pay for development, which gets costly for high production quality. We are extremely grateful to our fans and partners who have enabled us to work on awesome games like Superstar Just HD and Outland. For your unfailing love and support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. But now it's time to move on to new genres. Lackluster sales of Nex Machina had led us to the thinking that it's time to bring our long-standing commitment to arcade genre to an end. While this genre will hold a special place in our hearts, the industry is moving more towards multiplayer experience with strong, robust communities, and it's time for Housemarque to move forward with the industry. Hence, Nex Machina and Matterfall will be the last of the kind coming from our studio. studio. Our purpose as a company remains the same, however, to create enjoyable, memorable gaming experiences for players while simultaneously creating a great workplace that allows people to flourish both professionally and personally. Looking ahead to our next projects, we are exploring something totally different than what you might expect, but we believe this will lead to a great creation of even more engaging gaming experiences. Our core values remain the same: gameplay first with first-class execution. We are really excited about our new projects and look forward to unveiling our first game from the new era of Housemarque. Whether you've been a fan of Housemarque for years, or just played a few of our first games, we invite you to join in discovering new gaming frontiers. Stay tuned. I am sad, Gary, because I love Housemarque and all the games they developed. Alienation, Dead Nation, Resogun being one of the best games on PS4. One of the original games that are actually launched with PS4 and PS Plus. Fantastic. They just do arcade-style games so well, and it's so sad to see that these games don't sell anymore. People aren't excited, even though these games are amazing. If you ever played them, they're so fun and addicting. They have that arcade style where you just want to play more and get a high score. But it goes to show you that people aren't in this gaming industry anymore. They're not playing games for this style of experience anymore. It's kind of sad. I am excited to see what Housemarque does in the future, because when you see their games, it looks like they put time and effort and care, and it seems like they are very talented at what they do, and I am excited to see what they do next, if they innovate on the shoot and loot genre, if they innovate on that, connective platform genre. I feel like Mousetrap, Housemarque is that developer that could do that and bring an innovation out of nowhere and just, I feel like, become a huge success because they are talented. From all the games I played, I've loved them,
So what do you think is going to happen now? I mean, they talked about moving forward with the industry. Does that mean that they kind of go off and kind of cave to that pressure where they kind of make something that's maybe online based or some sort of shared experience, or do they kind of stick with their single player oriented games but make it with like a Housemarque twist? I mean, what do you personally think is going to happen?
I have no idea, honestly. I do feel like that maybe they're still going to have that arcade genre to it. There's going to be some collective community behind it. Maybe they'll continue with their top-down shooters like Alienation, Dead Nation, but sort of adding a community aspect of it. Maybe they try to go make it more of a group aspect with those type of games, the top-down, where it's like kind of like Diablo style, where you can bring friends in. There's you're not always playing with a bunch of people, but there's a community, like I think in Reapers of Souls, Diablo 3, there's like an auction house kind of, so you're buying loot from what people are selling there that they don't need, and sort of that style experience where you kind of are connected. You can bring people into the world, maybe having multiple different like random generated dungeons to play with friends would be kind of cool, and I feel like they could go that route but still keep the Housemarque gameplay that they are known for. I mean, Dead Nation, Alienation are fantastic playing games. Like, all their games are amazing feeling, and that's why I love them, is because they feel great, and I'm a gameplay fan. So that's where I see them going. Who knows? Maybe I'll hit the nail right on the head. Maybe I'll be completely off like I was with the Steam Xbox.
You were pretty off with that.
Don't tell me, Gary. I know. The article from Mobile Syrup. Apparently, the video game industry in Canada adds $3.7 billion to the country's GDP annually. So apparently, in this article, it states a significant role the country's economy is built up from the video game industry. In fact, according to the Canadians Video Game Industry 2017 report published by the Entertainment Software Association of Canada, the national games industry contributes $3.7 billion to the country's GDP as a 24% increase from 2015, which is a kind of a large increase. In its report, the ESAC says the Canadian video game industry has also created 21,700 direct full-time jobs as well as 18,900 indirect occupations, accounting for a total of 40,600 positions. Furthermore, each developer makes an average salary of $77,000, basically. As like I was reading this, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's a decent amount that they're contributing to society. But when I read the article, it always seems like they're trying to make it sound like such a bigger thing. And so I kind of did more research using the good old Google, and I saw that Canada's GDP is $1.53 trillion US dollars. So if there's 3.7 growing from that industry, that only means they're contributing a 0.9% impact to the total economy of Canada. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, that's not bad, because when you compare, the U.S., where the GDP is 18.5 trillion US dollars, and the video game industry contributes only $11.7 billion, and it only results in a 0.065% impact. It's definitely larger than the U.S., but again, it all goes back to the fact that it seems like these articles are trying to say, hey, treat us better, or they're trying to say to the outside world, we're children trying to yell to, the society, our parents, hey, respect us, we are good, we are, something you should revere and something you should look at, and we are doing great things here, and it just seems like, who cares? Let's be in our industry. Let's not try to say oh, we're, you need to pay attention to us. We're doing great things. If we're in the quote unquote gaming industry, we know people enjoy this industry, and we know that it is growing. But you don't have to, state oh yeah, we're contribute this much to the GDP.
Well, see,
when in the end, it's not too much as of right now, I guess you could say.
On the other hand, though, I do think it is noteworthy though to say that the industry has been growing like this. It's only going to grow further, and I think that a lot of people maybe aren't aware of that. I know, my dad still can't believe certain things when it comes to people actually watch people play video games, or stuff like that. He just cannot wrap his head around it. But I think it's good to show these sort of things, that the industry is growing, because it kind of brings light to a lot of people that are, I guess, a little more, I don't know, ignorant of what's happening out there. So
but I mean, it just seems like being in the industry, we know that we are doing good things, and we don't need to say hey, mom and dad, we're doing good things over here. They'll see it when time comes. They'll understand it. They'll be wow, this is huge nowadays. And as we get older, we'll become the parents, and, we don't have to, then hopefully we don't have to say oh, you're being idiotic playing these video games. I remember something on Twitter where they were making fun of playing video games, where oh, can you make $90,000 playing Super Mario World? It was an old ad in the newspaper, or cartoon in the 1980s newspaper, where they're making fun of a kid playing Super Mario. But look at me now, bitch ass. I'm on a gaming podcast that brings in 200 to 300 listeners a week. Suck it.
Honestly, though, there are people out there making some good money off video games, and they're playing them on camera for a living. So I'm just saying.
Moving on to some quick news, actually, both involving Nintendo. Super Mario Odyssey is apparently the fastest-selling Mario ever, in the U.S. at least, breezing past 1 million sales in under 5 days, and selling more than 2 million copies worldwide, and it's still counting. So that's exciting for Super Mario Odyssey. Hearing great things about it, saying that it's fantastic. I've seen a lot of scores being perfect, and from all intents and purposes, from what I've seen, I'm happy that there is a new 3D Mario game that people have been enjoying and loving. Again, I don't have a Switch, but if I do get a Switch, I'll purchase this game along with Breath of the Wild, and I'll see what I really think, because I'm not one of those insiders that seem like they always hop on Nintendo's D when they do something good. That's just me. But I'm sure it's going to be great. But again, it's maybe not going to be my cup of tea. But who knows? And again, since launching the SNES Classic in Europe and North America in September, Nintendo has sold over 2 million of the mini consoles. Inversely, last year's NES console Classic, whatever, was difficult to come by due to the low manufacturing from the company. So that is exciting that it's selling well. Again, I can't find the SNES Classic Edition. I've been searching. But maybe that's just me, but I'm glad they're doing well, but I just have yet to find, one of those consoles, because I've been interested. But any comment on those, or you want me to move on, Gary?
Keep moving, sir. We got an interesting little topic coming up here.
To our final topic. The gaming's biggest trade body throws support behind the Republican tax reform. The Entertainment Software Association, the ESA, came out in favor of the House Representative proposed tax reform bill, which it first detailed earlier today. The trade association, which runs the Electronic Entertainment Expo and serves the interests of U.S.-based game publishers, gave a thumbs up to what it sees as a system that could potentially stimulate the gaming job market. Quote, today's tax reform policy will energize tech sector innovation and economic opportunities. ESA President CEO Michael Gallagher said in a press release, quote, for the $30.4 billion U.S. video game industry dollars in the video game industry, which employs more than 220,000 people across the United States, the pro-growth policy introduced will incentivize greater U.S. investment and more high-quality American jobs. ESA commends Speaker Ryan, Chairman Brady, House leadership, and the Ways and Means Committee for crafting a reform package that drives U.S. economic growth. The video game industry is committed to working with congressional leaders at every stage of the process. End quote. In my take, you want me to go first, Gary?
Sure.
So if you haven't listened to us before, you can kind of surmise me and Gary haven't been, we're not cut from the same cloth as the quote-unquote video game insiders, in that way. We aren't as liberal, I guess you could say, when it comes to a lot of the video game industry. When you hear people now, one prominent was Colin Moriarty, who wasn't a liberal, who was more of a conservative, moderate conservative in the video game industry. And it seemed like when he talks about his experience, it seems like he was never too much of, wasn't too much liked, I guess, in the news side of it, even though there's developers that are more in the middle / right when it comes to political agenda. So I, myself, consider myself a moderate conservative. I just want to point that out there. Just being honest with the Jersey kids. I'm socially liberal, fiscally conservative. I think me and Gary may have a different take because we are built from we have the same somewhat ideals, I guess, when it comes to this. But this is not going to be more of a political discussion. I don't want to break down our video game topic into a political discussion. But when it comes to this in respect to the video game industry, I feel like this actually could be beneficial to the gaming industry because in my opinion, allowing corporate tax to be, tax less, it allows the corporation in and of itself. People always think, in my opinion, they always think that the corporate tax is going up to the higher ups. It's going up to the top people, that they're just taking that money for themselves, for their salary, which is not the case. When you cut corporate tax, it just goes to the corporation, unless somehow the board of directors are able to just, take everything for themselves, which I don't think is the case. But I don't know, some people have conspiracy theories like that. But allowing more cash for the corporations, in my opinion, allow for, more innovation, more, investing in different gaming products that can be developed. Putting more effort or more money into making studios larger, allowing for personnel or more personnel on these projects, maybe that'll help, the classic crunch time that developers always have to go through because they're understaffed and they have a lot on their plate and they have to tackle a lot of things. But maybe if there's more invested in their company or more invested in different people, hiring more people to be in their studio, maybe there's less on their plate, so there's less crunch time, and maybe that'll lead to better environments for these developers who, you hear time and time again, they go through difficult times during these crunch times where they're spending 12, 14-hour days making this game because they're under a huge time crunch because maybe they didn't plan it out properly, or maybe they thought they had the enough manpower for it, and then it just sort of overshot what they expected. Honestly, this is just how I feel. I feel like, more money in the corporations allowing to invest in new studios, new projects, new personnel. I think that's beneficial for the gaming industry as a whole. I mean, you go back to Visceral Studios that was shut down. Maybe if EA had more money to work with, maybe they would let Visceral, continue. But I mean, the main reason they shut down, or one of the main reasons they shut down Visceral Studios that Jason Schreier put in the Kotaku article was the fact that Visceral Studios was based out of San Francisco, which is one of the largest, taxed places to be. Their income was so high because they had to, sustain a cost of living. So again, money makes a huge difference. But if they do have money to spend, maybe Visceral's still there. Maybe they move the studio because they have money to invest in a different area. Maybe they move that studio to a new area so then they can work there so they're not, taxed as much. I mean, I feel like maybe I'm just being optimistic because that's the type of person I am, but I feel like having more money in the gaming industry, corporations or companies, that they can invest in and take more risks in different gaming projects. Maybe you'll see EA go outside the box and invest in more projects that are like unraveled, or you'll see Activision do different things instead of just making the bottom line or making a profit, because in this day and age, that's what you need to do, especially when you're that large of a company. I don't know. I'm done my ramble.
I got to make a habit now, I think, of going first, because a lot of what you just said right there, basically almost everything that you just said right there, I can agree with. Obviously there's things that can go wrong. I don't want to go one way or another with this in terms of the tax reform. We definitely need tax reform in this country, personally, in my opinion. I don't want to say that everything from this tax reform is going to benefit the gaming industry or benefit maybe the consumer. I think a lot of the reasons you stated, I think a lot of good things can come of this, but I don't want to get too overly optimistic. I'm too pessimistic. Yeah, I'm a little skeptical of Washington and especially Republicans, even though I do consider myself more conservative. I don't really like Republicans because I don't think they really get anything done.
No one does in Washington nowadays, but this is not a political podcast, which we could talk hours for.
I will say, nevertheless, I really do hope that this tax reform does help the gaming industry, because if it helps the gaming industry, it will inevitably help the consumer. And I think that's great for everybody. So, yeah.
Ditto, man. Moving on to the final portion. The game's actually releasing this week. Or next week. So Tuesday, November 7th, we have Farming Simulator Nintendo Switch Edition, coming to the Switch, obviously. You have Heroes of the Monkey Tavern, coming to the Switch. Sonic Forces, which is coming to Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and PC. Neo, which is actually coming to PC, which I really want you to check out, because I would love seeing you trying to play this type of game. It would be glorious.
It sure seems like you're trying to just get me to play a lot of games that you like. It's weird, dude.
Maybe. But Neo is more of like the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, where it's very difficult. So I would love to see you trying to tackle those style games, and it has a lot of exploration. I do love Neo. It was a fun game. And on Friday, November 10th, you have Snipper Clips Plus, Cut It Out Together, coming to the Switch. Apparently there's a Plus edition now. I didn't know. It hasn't been that long since the original. You have Doom coming to the Switch finally, which is actually exciting for Switch owners. You have Mario Party, the top 10 coming to 3DS. Football Manager 2018, they're still making these, coming out to PC, Linux, and Mac. And finally, I didn't know this was happening, but Need for Speed Payback is coming to Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Again, one of those games that I don't think they put too much into the marketing aspect, and it just seems like it's popping out there.
Shame, because Need for Speed kind of was like awesome back in the day. Now it seems like it's kind of
was the racing franchise that I adored. I would always get that game. I choose the arcade style racing or the unrealistic street racing over the realism Gran Turismo or Forza Horizon any day.
Hell yeah, dude! Remember putting on the Nitro or the hell it was? They make my car go like obscenely fast. Hell yeah, dude! That was the best.
Make the body kit look ridiculous. Have neon lights coming from the bottom of your car, which would make no sense, but yet they're there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was fun, man. Need for Speed Most Wanted, amazing. I will say that
game. I did enjoy that game, and it was actually really difficult at the end when you got farther up, when you had to get certain, do different tasks, crime rating, and getting better, I guess, skill-wise, I guess you could say. It got really difficult, but yeah, hopefully maybe this Need for Speed will sneak up on people. I'm not, gonna, hold my breath, but who knows? But Gary, we made it through it all. We got through it all everything that's going on. Before we wrap up, you want anything to say?
Well, first of all, this has been the longest episode we've done in a long time. If it serves my mind right, probably since E3 has been the longest episode. But yeah, it's been great being here, guys. I had a lot of fun once again breaking down the news and everything and talking with my man Adam here and all you people out there. I'm going to catch you guys again next week. If you want to actually talk to me during the week. I'm streaming. I'm probably going to be streaming Monday through Friday next week, so you can come by and stop by if you want to talk to me. Maybe talk to me about the podcast. I don't care. Talk to me about anything. But yeah, hit me up there or hit me up on Twitter at RealScavenger18 anytime, and I'll be glad to talk to you. But other than that, I will catch you all later.
Thank you all for sticking with us all the way to the end. If you're a new listener, please hit that subscribe button, and then also go follow Gary on Twitch, because he is a pretty good streamer. I do have to say so myself. I may be a little biased, but I think he's very good interacting with the fans and having a good time chatting with people. He's really good at it, so yeah, go check him out. Please go give us a rating on iTunes. It'll actually help us out standing-wise. You can also rate us on Stitcher, so if you don't have an iTunes account, go to Stitcher.com/2JerseyKids, and you can give us a rating. That'll help us out too. Any rating actually helps. If you want to recommend us on Overcast, because I know there's Overcast listeners out there, 26 of them to be exact, you can hit recommend on our podcast, and you can also get us on SoundCloud. There's only going to be 2 episodes because we're not, we don't store our episode there, but then you can find us on TuneIn. Just a plethora of different podcast apps out there you can find us. So please give us a listen, subscribe, share us with your friends, tell them how much you love us. And when you hit the subscribe, remember, you become an honorary Jersey Kid. If you're excited about that, I'm glad you are. If you're not excited about that, well, you're Jersey Kid now. You're stuck with it. But yeah, catch us every Friday. Please follow the podcast at 2 Jersey Kids. Gary, say bye.
Adios.
We love you all. Catch you next week. Have a good weekend. Bye.